Hello world, we're here with Team AI within art. I always actually want to say art within AI still. With me is Mathilda and Yuzu, and together we form the team who are about to embark on a journey to create our first art exhibition in conjunction with Helsinki Day, the 12th of June. I'm Nicholas. I've studied computer science at Aalto, what feels like a decade ago, and it actually is. I currently work at a consultancy called Day with questions regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. I have my own business on the side where I coach and help companies with people practices. I'm also an aspiring poet, if you will, and I've been writing poetry. So this is like a project that is close to my heart. What art means in the world of AI. Over to you, Mathilda.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mathilda. I came to Finland from Germany for my design studies, and I'm now just about to finish with my bachelor thesis. So that's going great, and I'm happy to kick this off.
Thank you for introducing yourself. Why did you tell the audience? Why did you come to Finland? Why did you choose Aalto?
Very honestly, I
Yes.
googled best school for design worldwide, and Finland is currently on position 6. So I applied and I got in, and don't turn this down if you get in.
Aalto needs to give us a sponsorship, like a logo right there in the left
They
corner.
should.
Aalto, yes, please. What about you, Yusu?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Yuzu. I'm from Japan originally, but same with Matilda. I came to Finland in 2021 in my third year of the design bachelor at Aalto, and I'm currently doing marketing for Dash. And Matilda and I became friends doing events with our association. So that's kind of where our journey has started, and since then it has led us to meeting Nikki and then now being here on this live stream and working on this project. Very excited.
So can you tell the audience what is Dash? Everybody might not know what Dash is. You're saying it like it's obvious, which it should be.
Yeah, great question. So Dash is a multidisciplinary community, and we're mostly known for our hackathon that happens every October, wherein we bring in students and also non-students from various disciplinaries, and then we cater them into a specific team that has designers, business students, engineers, tech people, and you kind of solve real life problems with real life companies that are well known in Finland.
Cool. So how does one get involved? Since we have a few minutes, you can do some shameless self promotion on that while you're at it.
Yes, absolutely. So we recently made a new Instagram, and that's where we post most of our events and kind of like updates about what we've been doing. And you can find that at dash.finland. But we are opening actually volunteer applications later this month. So you'll be able to find news about that on our Instagram, but then also on our LinkedIn. And then if you are looking to participate, then after the summer, so around August and September, we will be posting a lot more about participant information. So you can keep stay tuned with that.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. I also think in the introductions we were supposed to share a fun fact in order to keep it light and to produce some laughable content or emotional content. Did you come up with a fun fact? I have mine here. I already actually shared it with you today.
You want to go?
Mathilda, do you have
I
one?
thought about it because I'm like, okay, what is funny about me? But then just now that the sun is out, I was reminded of my childhood. And we used to have 2 horses. I mean, we still have them, but back in that day, they would always live in our garden during the summer. And the smaller one of them was actually called, like, is it Lila Guben? In German, it's Kleiner Onkel. Pippi Langstocking. And that horse, they at some point figured out that through the kitchen door, that's where the apples come. So every morning they would come on the terrace, knock on the door, and then get the apple. And if you didn't pay attention, you would suddenly have a horse in the kitchen just running the apple basket.
Amazing.
That's
Thank you
fun.
for sharing. Did not know. Lilla Gubben, yes. As a native Swedish speaker, I acknowledge this. What about you, Yusu?
Oh my, I don't think I can beat that story really.
No,
But
you don't
funny
did what?
I mean, funny thing for me, I think, is like kind of going back to the introduction wherein Matilda and I became kind of the event organizers. In my first year, I'd actually only attended just one, like in maybe the first 6 months of moving here. And then one day I was actually eavesdropping on Matilda talking to someone else about the position of an event organizer. And I was like, I had not talked to Matilda. We were not really friends, but I was like, sure, I'll be interested. And Matilda just gave me this like, are you freaking serious kind of look, and that was like the start of our yeah, that was the start of our friendship. So I always like to reminisce on that and see how far we've come, how well we were able to work together for the fact that we were complete strangers. And that always kind of like puts a smile to my face. It's an emotional story, I think.
I think that when I got to meet you, it was last summer, right? For Ignite. We can talk a bit about that as well. And I kind of was struck by your enthusiasm, not only for the subject of creating events, but also the kind of dynamics you had with the team. It shows.
Oh,
My
that's
fun fact. I'm using this to actually be able to share an entire screen here as we go. Oh, private stuff. Not stop sharing private stuff. It didn't pop up as you want. Here we go. Share screen. You should double check this. This is why we're testing these for the first time. My fun fact, will it now actually show what I wanted to show? No, it won't.
no.
It won't show. It only showed my private messages, which I didn't want to show. Interesting. I wanted to show you, or rather the audience, the bread I made.
Do you have it with you at the moment?
I could actually, that would have probably been better option. So have become an avid bread baker, and it's something magical with creating something of your own that is very tangible. And bread requires, even though it's kind of simple, it requires a lot of skill to get right, and it also requires patience. And then you need to be very specific about the amounts of flour and water, which is quite interesting. So that is my fun fact. But going back to how you met and how I met you as an Ignite, what was that? So like why choose that, and why choose events?
So Ignite per se is a 10-week startup accelerator during the summer where you come with an idea and you work on that idea over those 10 weeks, and then you hopefully produce something by the end. It's kind of to introduce people to early startup life, I guess. And me and Yuzu, we stopped being EAs, so the event planners, and we were sitting in a cafe on campus and we are just brainstorming because we said that the way events are currently being organized is we felt it was messy and was all over the place and information missing. So we came up with this idea of creating like a new online system for planning events, which, fun fact, we did not end up presenting at Ignite because we pivoted. But yeah, so we were like, we want to give back to the industry. We want to do something more. We can't stop. We want to improve it. And I think that's where our design background comes in, of like finding a problem and wanting to produce a solution. So we applied and we got in, and then we did it.
And you did it.
Yes.
How would you like to add to this, Yusuf?
Yeah, I mean, we did start off with like a conversation, but actually before that, I had not considered. I don't think we had really considered entrepreneurship as like a kind of a direction. And we actually had a lecturer in our class, and she was from like a design background that became a founder, and she's still a founder. She runs her company or a startup, and we got super inspired because we had like a brainstorming session during the class, and Matilda and I were just sitting next to each other, and we were like, this is amazing. Like her platform was incredible, and we were doing like event related things on her platform as like her MVP test, and we were like, I like, this is crazy. And then right after that we were like, okay, we're gonna have a meeting right now, like an unofficial meeting, and we're gonna talk about this. And we just like talked and talked and talked, and I remember I voice recorded like some bits, and it was like 2 hours long, and it's just us like being like, we could do this and this and this. And around that time, I think it was just like kind of meant to be, like we found out about Ignite applications opening soon, and so we were starting to plan about it. And then obviously Ignite isn't just like a, you know, send one application kind of thing. It was actually a process. So, you know, we sent an application, and then we had to write a longer essay, and then we had an interview. So it was like multiple rounds and multiple works of it. But yeah, it still feels crazy that it was really just one class and one kind of Sopratis like conversation that really kicked it off for us.
Amazing. You hadn't shared that with me. That is, I think that calls for, and like for all the startup founders that may or may not watch this clip later on, that they should definitely go to schools and give lectures about, or guest lecture about what they're building in order to get more people inspired into entrepreneurship. If that was kind of, if one made that difference for you.
Yeah.
Me personally, I used to, when I was studying in Aalto, I used to run events at TAFFA. And actually, I didn't know what I was doing at the time was something called an event producer's job. So I did the catering for the Swedish-speaking Finns have their own house and restaurant business, and on the side of that, the lunch restaurant, they do corporate and student and other events. And I think I ran about 100 events during 18 months between 2011 and 12. And that got me into the Helsinki nightlife scene, where I've probably done like about 50 to 100 events as well in different club venues in Helsinki, due to the fact that my friend, who's a DJ and now makes a living out of being a DJ, kind of asked me to help out with his business. And I was essentially making money on the side of studying by doing events. That's why I got by the studies. Even though I studied software engineering, I can't code. And I like to party a lot, and I was running out of money, so I made basically partying into a business more than a place where I spend my money. And that took me to Slush. So at Slush, this big, the world's leading entrepreneurial event at the time, it was still in Kaapeli, Tehdas. It was just gone over 10,000 people, and they were moving into Messukeskus, which is the bigger venue with 15,000. And I did something apparently right, and I ran as executive producer, and then later also as vice CEO, title president. And when I met you, I hadn't seen many people kind of like, it's not accepted within the kind of bubble you're in to do entrepreneurial endeavors that are not scalable tech products. Right? There's like a positive bias towards it in tech, right? And then when the skills are not, you can go in and do like event platforms, but entrepreneurship itself and the things related to events can also be made into a business. And I hadn't, before you, I hadn't seen many, except for, of course, like the people who organize the events itself, somebody outside of the student run endeavors trying to make a business out of making events. So that drew me to you, as in like, how about we try something together, and I can try to give you my network and see what comes out of this endeavor. And then on the side of it, I'm personally interested in poetry and what art means in this world where AI can generate an abundant amount of it. So what is the point of then a human writing any piece anymore? Which brings us to the subject of the event we're creating. So what about you? What is your relationship with AI and art currently? Yuzu, would you like to share the audience?
Sure. Yes. So Actually, I don't think I had really thought about it as much, especially last year when a lot of AI related things had been coming up. And obviously, I'm a design student, so I was using maybe AI to help me in my design process, not necessarily using AI to create art, because I felt at that time that it was like AI art wasn't real art. Just kind of from my like designer background and like, you know, camaraderie with like the artist community, I feel like. But then slowly like things start to change, and I've seen kind of examples of successful businesses and also artists using AI in very creative ways, um, kind of yet directly involved in their design process. How do they enhance their abilities, their own skill set, their own ways of thinking using AI? So I kind of see AI from that perspective. I think AI in art is still like something that I'm curious about. I'm still exploring. I'm still like trying to find out, and I think that's also why I'm now involved in this project, because I personally want to know what do I think of AI. I don't think I have like a definite answer, but I'm thinking of it in a very like explorative manner.
I
If that
think that
makes sense.
is that makes a lot of sense. And I think that journey is very relatable, hence
Mhm.
also why creating this. What about you, Matilda?
I used to be so against AI art. It has changed a little bit, especially since starting this project. Maybe that's just because I'm coming from a very artistic background. I used to paint a lot, and I was like, so now you're telling me that um, people are selling like AI art for the same price or whatever. But I think it depends on what you value. Do you value the technique that is behind a piece of art that you then hang above your sofa or wherever? Or do you value the thought process that goes into it? And that's where I see AI turning into art, when you use it as an active thought process and a creative way of looking what is possible and challenging yourself. I don't know if it's just putting a prompt in and getting the image. I don't think that's the art of it. I think it's the process is the art.
The
It's the
process
same.
is
Yeah,
art.
yeah. It's similar with the paintings. You know, you have this process of putting a brush in and the thoughts of like, why does this image look the way it does? And then of course as a designer, I think that AI might still have a little bit of a way to go. Like if I want to use AI like image generator for my works, you have to give it like 20 times different prompt until you get what you really want. um so in that sense, I think there's still some tweaking, but yeah, I guess it's how you talk about it, how you discuss it, how you view the piece that comes out of it.
That's an intriguing way of putting it. And I think part of this process is to figure out the right questions to ask ourselves or to have a discussion in a group. So with that in mind, and we've already been able to close at least two speakers for the event lineup. Oh, by the way, we should probably talk about the actual event, when it is, what we're doing before explaining how we're going to fill the content, right? So
Mhm.
for the audience, Matilda, since you booked the venue, where are we and with the event?
Yeah, so the event will be held in Magito, which I'll be honest, I cannot give you an exact address out of the top of my head. But it will be from about the 10th to the 12th, and for the on the 12th it will be open to the public, which is also Helsinki Day. And then if you want to come earlier, you can get those perks by, for example, buying the book.
Thank you for sharing. And what's so Magito is in Suvilahti, Helsinki, and
Thank you.
Helsinki Day. Let's go to Helsinki Day after Yuzu. What are we doing before the event?
Yes, so leading up to the event, every Friday we will be having a live stream similar to this, but perhaps more professional, because we will have actual experts and people kind of involved in art and AI, kind of like on a professional level, talking to Nikki and really just kind of having a discussion around the topic. What are their thoughts? Kind of trying to get a sense of what our exhibition might be, and maybe your own thoughts, kind of how do you say, bubbling curiosity in our audience.
Amazing. I love how you put it so elegantly. Yes, so we have Roope Rainisto. He's the design lead at Varia, and he picked up this AI art project quite some time ago, and he's now been featured in one of. He's part of the roster of the most valuable crypto art collection in the world, and he represents a number of, together with a number of other artists, and he's been creating AI, like video generated AI art for a bit. Very interesting. And then we have Mikko Alasaarala, who's known for creating AI products and talking about AI for a very, very long time, especially in conjunction with blockchain and building communities around AI and using AI for good, if you will. So in these terms, like, what are the questions we should be asking? Like, and then who else should we get involved in the discussions? Yuzu, would you like to share your thoughts on, like, what would you like to ask them?
Sure. I think so far we have an amazing lineup of people from the AI kind of background. I think it would be interesting to see or hear thoughts from kind of like an artist background, maybe, someone that is kind of similar to like Mathilda, coming from a more traditional art, field, actively doing art traditionally, and then maybe getting their take on AI from their perspective. I think would be very intriguing and kind of would reach a lot of people from the art side. I think nowadays, artists kind of feel a little bit attacked by AI, and I think certain discourse of like, how headlines are being written, I think it's quite understandable for them to feel that way. But I think it'd be so much more interesting to find out why. What is their reason, and then kind of what could they potentially do with the knowledge of kind of AI. Maybe it's rather like a lack of understanding from their end or some other person's end. Maybe just trying to create some kind of connection between it. So that is kind of my take. But
Thank you
how
for
about
sharing.
Yeah, no worries.
I completely follow your thought there, and I think it would be valuable to getting somebody from the traditional scene. What about you, Mathilda?
I think it would be interesting to get someone from the traditional scene. Also, like Yuzu said, there's this divide of people saying like, of being pretty angry. And I know that even in the university, there has been topics of AI art, and it's been put really negatively in the School of Art. So maybe also asking the questions of like, what can you do to change that perspective to help traditional artists without having to challenge AI art? So like, what's maybe? And then I would also be really interested in what the speakers have to say about what we just said. Is like, what makes AI art, not just a generated image, maybe.
That will probably yield a pretty intricate discourse, right? Because especially with what technology is allowing, is that you can actually create digital art that is unique in its own way if you combine it with other technology, right? But then how valuable is that when AI can produce an abundant amount of art, right, within seconds, where it has taken humans quite a long time to create a piece and to actually learn the craft. Right now, everything is going a lot faster. So it will make for interesting discussions.
I also think it's interesting to like maybe speculate about what does the future of AI art hold. What is possible. I know for my thesis I had an interview, and one of my interviewees mentioned that artists are going to be experimenting a lot in the future with this tool and to see how far you could push it.
So what would be like if we would imagine what that future would look like from like our perspective? Where would we put the future? What will happen? Do we have a prediction?
I don't have a prediction, but I'm really intrigued, and I agree with what Mathilda said, that I think artists will start using AI as like a tool. I feel like now there is kind of this perception of it being like a direct competitor, but I feel like in the future it would be kind of, we would have a better understanding of it, and so it would be kind of one tool to help us kind of start creating and kind of like maybe moving outside of the box, so to say. At least from also like my design background, I see that happening more. especially, you know, with a lot of like designerly tools, Canva, Adobe, they're not taking away from kind of our creative process, but really just kind of helping us and enhancing us. So I feel like that's going to kind of develop.
I love what you said about Adobe, because now Adobe has this whole AI tool within their Photoshop, for example. And I think it's interesting to also see like what in the future can we do with mixed media, so mixing traditional art mediums with AI and seeing what comes out of there.
I think for me, like the way I see it as a writer, right? So I write a lot. I'm not like I've drawn when I was younger and so on. I think like it will make the internet more inclusive in the sense that I can create my art form, which is written word, and with that it can automatically generate art in the other contexts. So I can tell a more vivid story, but still stick to my preferred medium. The same way somebody else who's a photographer, they can now take a picture and then they can tell a story in a whole different way with the help of AI without them having to move out of their own medium. So it will like augment and also the audiences will become more interesting. So that's like the first thing that I've been thinking about is actually like, okay, I'll write a poem and that will, you know, it can create a story and we can build something with kind of new mediums that wasn't possible before. And then secondly, as also a father of two young children, so my kids are 7 and 5, so the way they experience the world, as in like how they want to express themselves, is going to be so much easier, I guess, for kids, right? And how do we use AI also to tell these stories? Because you can go around now and you can actually tell, like AI, that can you please speak to me as a 5-year-old? You know, or I can't explain a thing to my kids, but then I can use AI tools to use like in creative ways to help them learn about subject X, Y, or Z in life. So these are the intriguing facts. But I want to revert back to the actual event and Helsinki Day, since we need to do some shameless promotion for Helsinki Day so that they'll do some shameless promotion for us. So I didn't know Helsinki Day celebrates its birthday. So that's why they're organizing it. And it's organized by an event foundation, and anybody in Helsinki can do events. Right, and they're sponsoring a few. The sponsor deadlines already went, but then the 12th, there will be events popping up around Helsinki, and there's a web page. We'll add that link below or in the comments of all the content we're sharing. What do you think about Helsinki as a city, as foreigners? What is the best thing about Helsinki?
I have a good thing. Because the first time I arrived here, I arrived by boat. So we drove the car because the boat ends like on the other side of Helsinki. We had to drive like through Helsinki to get to Otaniemi to load my furniture away. And I remember we're driving. I was like, "Why is this so green?" Like big city. And I'm a countryside girl, so I was so happy when I saw like all of the greenery, and that it's not just like one of those tight cities where you don't feel like you could breathe. It's just beautiful, and I think it's a really nice place to live.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. What about you, Yuzu?
I definitely second that. Well, I'm from Yokohama, but I went to school in Tokyo, so that's a complete different scenery and landscape as opposed to Helsinki. And I had never been to kind of like a European city really before. I've been to two before coming to Finland, and at first I was kind of like it's so small. Like that was like my main thing, that it's so small and I can walk from one end to another in like a matter of minutes, not even like an hour. And I was like, that's freaking amazing. So that was my thing. And I think that really adds to it, that like I can really go from one scenery to another scenery. I can take a boat to Suomenlinna and just have a lovely picnic out in the open into the water. That's something that I never experienced in Japan. So I feel like I've kind of reconnected with nature. I've reconnected with just kind of being like grounded as a person. I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. I'm not like just constantly walking through the city. I'm like enjoying the landscape. So I've kind of like changed myself. in like a not so big way, but like I've changed my habits just by being in Helsinki.
Wow.
And yeah,
That was, I don't think Helsinki could do better marketing than what you just did there.
I think I do, like, because I felt all these kind of, changes, I've been kind of promoting it to all my friends and family. And actually my German friend, she visited me last year, and she was kind of like, oh, I'm here to see you. She wasn't really interested in the city. But when she was leaving, she was like, I'm going to come back here because I love the city. Did not mention me. I love the city. And she's also coming back actually this year, this summer, for longer. So she's going to be here for 2 weeks because she absolutely fell in love with the city. So I think that's testament enough with how I feel and how everybody maybe that visits feel about Helsinki.
I'm happy you feel this way and that she felt this way, and Helsinki is that. For me, I traveled a lot, privileged in a way that, like, middle class Finland, well, most of everybody in Finland are middle class, and privileged that way compared to the rest of the world, right? So you traveled a lot around the world, and forget the top rankings on a lot of like world related kind of happiness. Finland is known for that. You have the World Peace Index indexing Finland to be at the top, and then as a capital city, I haven't found another capital city where you can walk to the sea or to the forest in less, like within an hour. You can be like in the Central Park, and you can be at the water. And then secondly, since in Helsinki they can't build over a certain height, you won't have skyscrapers in the same way. So you're a lot closer to nature, where you actually can see the sky wherever you are, which is not given in the major other capital cities. And then the beauty of public transportation and everything is that from Helsinki, traveling anywhere is really smooth. So like you get from downtown to the airport in 40 minutes, you can be boarding within an hour when you're leaving the HQ, like at best, if you're smooth, right? And then you can fly, it's like in the middle of everything. So this was interesting during Slush also. People feel it's in between the States and Asia, right? So it's halfway, which makes it also easy to travel to different places. So I hope more international people, whenever they have an opportunity to come through Helsinki, they take a couple of days in the city and change their habits like Yuzu.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap up and mention who else we're working with in terms of the event. So we're publishing my book, and we have reached out to some friends at Linecut, a new startup creating pre-event sales for different types of events. I haven't done art exhibitions before, but Linecut is happy supporting us. And if you want to support this event, you can buy the books from there. Then additionally, we've reached out to our friends at SunFX to help a bit with the production. Even though it's a very, very small venue, we will need some lighting, and SunFX will help us there. And finally, we will be looking for more sponsors, which is three. We're looking for a main sponsor, a couple of enabling sponsors, and then we're looking for patrons. So those who want to nominally support the event, and as a thank you for supporting us, they will get a set of posters they're kind of patrons of during the event, and also access to the exclusive events we're doing prior to Helsinki Day at the venue. We will hope for amazing weather, right? Since there's a nice yard, one could be outside during the summer when it comes. And what else do we want to highlight in terms of the event? Some practicalities, right? Why should people come? What is the audience getting out of actually coming to the exhibition?
I think if you want to kind of start questioning your bias towards AI and art, or AI within art, I think it would be a perfect opportunity to come to our exhibition. immerse yourself into what we have planned, and start discussions with people there, start discussions in your own mind, and start just thinking about art and AI, because I think that's something that you think you have time to think, and sometimes you don't. So we're giving you the kind of perfect environment and perfect opportunity to do so.
To immerse yourself.
Yes.
Do you like that's adequately put? Would you like to, Mathilda, add to that? Or are you just going to say that was perfect?
I mean, I think that was pretty perfect. I think just have the space to think, make up your mind. If you don't have made up your mind, this is the perfect opportunity, but also challenge your bias. Like Yuzu said, if you think that about AI art in a certain way, maybe come and see if your mind changes on that perspective.
That would be interesting to see what comes out of it all. And then we'll also be gathering your answers at the event. So you'll be able to compare your perception to the other attendees' perception by attending. So you will get a lot out of following the live streams and the discussions here, but the one thing you'll get out of coming there, of course, meeting other like-minded people live in person, which is value in itself. You'll also will gather the answers from everybody who participates, so that you will get how you compare to the rest of the audience. This has been an effective, even though we were a bit late, which is, life happens. And we've had 0 live viewers on at least LinkedIn so far. I don't know if we had some on YouTube, but hopefully for the next sessions and the next discussions, we'll have a lot more live viewers. And all of this content will, of course, be reposted and reshared on our social channels at will. And luckily, since that is done retroactively, my private WhatsApp conversation may be edited out of the clips, but I don't think there was anything I feel ashamed or sensitive in that way. It was just a bit awkward, if you will. Thank you. This will conclude the live stream here. Stay tuned. Next Friday, we already have the next live. Hopefully have amazing guests and also be able to share this on the proper page channels, because there are some thresholds we haven't overcome yet in terms of going from 0 to not 1 but 100 different social platforms. Thank you for everybody who followed this discussion.
Thank you.